Norm Manley, welcome to Small Towns Unscripted, my friend.
Thank you, Russ. Nice to be here.
Yeah.
I think so, anyway.
Yeah, so far so good. The first 5 seconds were good.
Yeah, you have no idea what you're about to be in store for.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, this is Nicole Turner. I'm Russ McClellan, and you had mentioned you'd watched a couple of our episodes, so that's good.
Yeah.
You're, I think, number 76 weeks in a row.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
what are you going to do with them all when you get them all done?
I just put them out there into cyberspace and hope for the best. No, it seems to be resonating with people. We're getting about 100,000 views on my personal Facebook page a month.
Wow.
And so, and we always like to try to just a minute or two on why we do it.
Sure.
And we started this, the whole idea is just to help unite communities. And I grew up here. My grandparents came here on a covered wagon. My grandmother lived to be 101, and my mom was the 1956 Apple Blossom Princess.
Yes.
And my sister was a princess in Manson, and I graduated from Manson. And so I've seen a lot of change, and I've been in real estate like 37 years now. And so obviously there's been a lot of change. And part of that is, this definition of what a local is, right? We joke about it a lot, but I have a feeling that anybody that lives here and gives back and is a good person should be a local, right? Whether you're here a week or whether my kids are fifth generation, so I'm pretty sure they qualify. But the idea is to help unite people, and if you get to know somebody a little bit better, you figure out that you have a little bit in common. And if you have a little bit in common, maybe there's a little less judgment, a little more empathy and compassion, and we just have a good time living in a beautiful place. So,
I thought it was a great idea. Jerry Eisenhart, probably 5 years ago, him and I, we talked about it. We never did it. We were going to do some kind of something similar to this, not so much with people, but about things and Manson, the roads, how they got the names and all that. And I was going to play the dumb guy, and he was going to have the answers.
Oh, that's cool.
Great. Yeah, you should still do it.
We never did it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You're involved in so much, and so I can't wait to get into all the things you're doing and have done for this community, and you've been here 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
Sounds like. And but before we get there, just a little bit about your history and family. Like, where'd you grow up? Where'd your family, your parents, grandparents come from?
Yeah, let me say, first of all, I'm probably one of the luckiest guys in the world. I've had a life that's just been so easy, so blessed. Never had a hard day. I wouldn't say never, but had very few hard days in my life. So right there, it's just great. I grew up in Tacoma, Washington, born in 1943.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's a few years ago.
World War II.
World War II. I had a lot of good memories back then. My mom, she used to be out. She had a garden. She canned and cooked. My dad, he was a tugboat captain, and it was the typical family back in either 40s and 50s. I remember we had dinner, at night, round table all the time, and meat and potatoes, main things, Went to school, graduated from Wilson High School, had 2 weeks off, joined the Navy, spent 3 years in there. This is called the Kiddie Cruise. You go in before you're 18, and you get out before you're on your 21st birthday. So I spent just a little over 3 years in the Navy, came back up to Tacoma, had 2 weeks off, went to work for a company called Foss Maritime, a tugboat company. Worked there for 42 years and retired October 31st, 2006. Never drew $1 of unemployment.
Wow, you don't hear that very often anymore. Boy,
no,
43 years in one spot.
Yeah, I got married before I got out of the service. I was 20 when I got married and ended up having 3 children. And that marriage ended in divorce. And then I remarried in 1981 to my current wife, Susan. She has 2 children, so we got 5 altogether, and which is a handful. They're all doing well now. They're out on their own. They're living different places. My 2 boys live in Puerto Vallarta. My daughter's down over in Woodinville. Then we got a daughter back in South Carolina, and another one down in Arizona. So the only good thing about the ones in Puerto Vallarta, I get to go down there and stay kind of for free.
The worst places in Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah.
And you have probably grandkids, I would imagine.
Yeah, I have 4 grandkids and 2 great-grandkids. And the great-grandkids are right now over in Greece. Their parents, my daughter, granddaughter Sarah and her husband Daniel, they're missionaries over there. They've been over there 7 years now. So I've seen the great-grandkids a couple times when they come over here, because I'm not flying over there. It's too far from me.
Yeah, you're spread out.
Yeah.
I love that. And, what did you enjoy, or what was it about a career that compelled you to stay in the same company for that long? Must have been a good place.
It doesn't happen anymore. Foss Maritime was a family-owned company for years, and when I was involved in it, and you really got treated well. You felt like you're being treated well, And as I left, it was sold a couple times, and it's not the same old place, but time goes on, and that's fine. But I was treated very, very well. In fact, when I retired, they put on a big barbecue, had about 400 people show up.
Wow.
And it was very special, and they had, I got my ship's bell and all this stuff, and I left there, but when I left, walked out the door and never turned around. I'd done my time, I had enjoyed what I did there, and was ready for the next chapter of my life. The one thing I want to bring up, so I'm very, very proud of, it was about 1997, this is when I first got involved. My kids were kind of grown up, and I had a little more time. My job was pretty easy, even though I worked a lot of hours. So I started a nonprofit called the Youth Maritime Training Association, which is still operating today. And the purpose was to get kids in K through 12 interested in the maritime industry, any part of it. It could be on boats, it could be an architect, could be a naval architect, could be a plumber, any of these things. So we worked with the local high schools, and we actually started a program at Ballard called the Ballard Maritime Academy. And those kids came out of there. Some of them never went into the maritime industry. Some did. Some went to like Cal Maritime or, different places. Some came back to the industry. So it was finding money, because all these organizations, it's all about the money. If you ain't got the money, you're going nowhere. So anyway, finding the money was easy, because at that time, the maritime industry was already looking at a problem with, people that work. There were people who were getting ready to retire, and they didn't have people coming up behind them. So it was easy to get the money. So we would put on career fairs. We would go to schools to take kids on field trips, all kinds of things, and it really grew into something that's still going today. So right now it's under the direction of the Northwest Historical Society, and they still do the career fairs and that, and they also do a scholarship every year. We give away about $40,000 in scholarship, money, and the maritime industry is one of those best kept secrets around, because it's so huge. Seattle without the maritime industry would go away, because if you just look at all the container ships, all the jobs that go on with that, it's just amazing, and they're good paying jobs too.
Yeah, I'm a lake guy on this side of the mountain, so I'm very foreign to all of that.
It was hard leaving the salt water coming over here,
bet
but
it was.
that's okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, I went through that, and I had a medical real problem in 2003. I was diagnosed with a growth in my pancreas, and my mom had died from pancreatic cancer. So, we're going to do our wills and everything, because I was figuring I was checking out of here, And ended up, it wasn't cancerous. I healed up, and in 2004, and I might have been because of this, but in 2004, I was selected as the Maritime Man of the Year for Seattle.
That's a huge deal.
It was put on by the Propeller Club, and it was interesting. Back at that time, it was a luncheon, and it was aboard one of the Holland American Line ships, and I had no idea I was getting the award that day. I went to it every year. I was kind of my position with the company. I always would go there, and it's really a nice to-do, they have all the food, the drinks, and that have the presentation. So I was sitting out in the audience like normal, and this one lady gets up that I'd worked with, and she started talking. I go, holy smokes. And so I realized me. So I had to go up on stage, and I get up there, and the first thing I says, I should have had another glass of wine. So anyway, they come out. The person was up there talking. Here comes my wife, of course, and she knew all about it. She comes out, and my two sons at that time, they were living in Long Beach. So I flew up. My sister came up from Arizona. I had no
We had a conspiracy around you. Good for them.
So that was that really capped my career as very, very special. In fact, I just went back. Now they're having, instead of the luncheon, they have a maritime breakfast. That was just last month. I went over there. And I get to get a free lunch every year now. I just have to drive over the mountains.
I'm curious so when you say maritime, for a guy like me that's uninformed, what is it? It incorporates the ships and the cargo, getting the cargo off the ships,
Yeah.
all the businesses, all the different companies,
Oh,
cleaning the ships. I mean,
Yeah.
everything, right?
Most people don't understand how vast it is. It really is. And this is a major terminal here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, things come here to go across the United States. Yeah, you have maritime lawyers, naval architects. I mean, it's just an unlimited amount of jobs are there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just had a guy call me out of the blue recently, and they were doing a deal around Issaquah, and they were talking about this land deal where they would take cargo containers from the ships and then get them on trains, and then they'd have a different place to store them because and they thought I knew somebody that would know somebody, you know.
Yeah.
And so I kind of hooked him up with somebody that I thought might help him on the west side, inside of Keller Williams. But I guess that's an issue, right? There's just the amount of land for these containers is running out. Or
If you Google containers, China, see some of the terminals they have over there and the mass storage of these containers that are coming in. It used to be when they first started doing containers, they went to containers on ships for a couple reasons. One was thievery. There was a lot of thievery going on. They used to call it break bulk, and it could, stuff would be in there. They'd haul it out to longshoremen and take it out. Well, some would go in where it's supposed to go. Some would go in their cars. But
Jimmy Hoffa days.
yeah. And then, also there was other reasons too, but they went to these containers. When the first container ships were built, they were like maybe 5,000 units would be on there. Now they have container ships with 20,000 units on it. And when they go over, wherever they go to get this stuff, they travel around. When they come back to Seattle, you can imagine you have 20,000 containers. Some of them are coming off, some of them aren't. Other ones are going on. That's all planned. I think it's down in Colorado, Denver or something. There's some guy down there who's got this all figured out, and them guys operating the crates take one off here and one off here, one off there, puts ones back on, ones back on.
It's crazy.
It's truly amazing. And then, they take them off, and then you've got trucks waiting to take them someplace sometimes. And some of them have freezers on them. They have to be maintained. Somebody's got to make sure those keep running. And they put, the trucks go all the way to the East Coast. You go over 90, you see them all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
So is it the Teamsters Union?
Yeah, the Teamsters, the Longshoremen's Union. Yeah, Longshoremen. There's several. Most of the work, of maritime work, most of it's some type of union,
I remember when they, was it the dock crane operators that went on strike maybe 10 years ago?
Yeah, that'd been longshoremen, yeah.
Yeah, and they were like, all the ships are backing up.
Oh, yeah.
They had a lot of leverage.
Oh, I didn't even.
They have a lot. They have a lot of leverage because it's hard to imagine how much it costs to have a ship just sitting there doing nothing. It's got a crew on it and everything else. It's supposed to be somewhere else. So they had a real hammer when it comes to negotiating contracts, and that's the reason they have such good contracts now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, you want those cargoes off that ship, you're going to have to pay me. Yeah, it's interesting, though. It's like a bottleneck at some point where I remember looking out in Tacoma, if I remember right, and the ships were kind of stacking up.
You can, yeah. In Tacoma, they'll be out, like right now over there in Iran.
Yeah.
With I forget how many ships are stuck.
Like 1,400 or something.
Yeah,
crazy
something
number,
like, and some of them are fuel, oil. Other ones are container ships. Yeah,
it's amazing.
They actually they're working with ships now with no crew on them, just like with the cars and that. They're actually trying that out.
Yeah, well, we were talking about this off air a little bit with AI, and as you see these autonomous vehicles and ships, like what are all these people going to do?
That's what they said, a long time ago about other parts of industry. Something's going to show up, the people are going to, it's just going to be different kind of work, but there's going to be work. There will be,
Hope so.
But it's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out, that's for sure.
A very tiny example that and I'm not an expert, and I don't know if even the experts are experts with AI. It's changing so fast. But when the internet came out, we had travel agents. And then one day there was no travel agents, and then another business, Expedia, Travelocity. And there was room for a lot of people and different, and it's hard to predict the unpredictable. So it is hard to put your finger on it.
Yeah, and it's hard, if you're a young person in high school right now, looking at a career, it's really difficult. You want to do something that you enjoy and something you're good at. But if you don't, right now we don't even know what's going to be out there. We really don't, That's the reason, for a lot of young folks, the trades are so, right now it's a really good way to go. There's a lot of money to be made, a lot less cost of your education, very employable, and I think they'll be employable for a long time. There's always going to be people that are going to be lawyers, doctors, and everything like that. But when I was, growing up, I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had a couple jobs, and I was paying to make sure my car was still running. And what
a great time to grow up, though.
Yeah. It was a good time growing up then. That's for sure. But nowadays, it's tough. Well, just moving on a little bit. After I moved over here, one of the first things I started to do after we built our house, and I do a little landscaping. That's the reason I got a bad back now. But anyway, I started volunteering at the high school. And I went up there, made a proposal. Matt Charlton was the superintendent at the time, and I started a interviewing program. I called them mock interviews, and then also a job where they go out, visit sites and that. So I was the one that started that, and I would work with the kids that learned how to write resumes, and we do mock interviews. And when we actually did the interviews, I brought people in from the community, like, Slide Water and that, and the kids do these interviews, and they'd get summer jobs. About 80% of them would get summer jobs.
Well, great experience, too.
Yeah, and great experience. And I was told by several of the people that came in to interview the kids, hey, these are better than most of them. But I worked on them with, interviewing, goal setting, a couple other things, and networking. To me, networking is number one. If you learn how to network in life, you're going places. But interviews, we're having an interview. You go to the doctor's interview, and so if you learn how to do that right, go buy a car. It's an interview, and if that guy knows more than you, you're going to lose that interview. Buying a car.
True.
Stay married. It's an interview.
So that was I just enjoyed that so much. So what I used to do, I'd work with the kids from September, the seniors mainly, but what we did towards the end, I had the seniors and the ninth graders. We'd have the seniors interview the ninth graders, so it kind of morphed into that. But when I first started, I'd work with the seniors. So I remember the first day I went with the class, I'd have all the seniors, like 50 of them, and they're in this room. And of course, they're sitting here like this, and who's this clown? Mm-hmm. And I always dressed up nice. I come in there, and they got in, the teacher introduced me to the kids, and I said a couple things. I asked a couple questions, and of course nobody would say anything. So I had a sack of candy, and somebody finally answered a question. I threw them a candy bar, and pretty soon I'm throwing candy bars out. Perfect. And so by December got there, we're pretty good buddies. We really are, And I'm working with the kids and helping them out. And then at that time, we're starting to go down to Arizona, so I'd leave about December 10th. So the last time I was with them before I went down there, we'd come into the whatever it's called there. It's where the center of the cafeteria, whatever it is, that big area. And I'd bring a person with me. The last one I did was Kim Usanik, and Diane. She was from the Apple Cup. She came one year, and all the kids were up in the, sitting up there. And Matt, he was at the table, and there was a couple of kids. They were going to do a group interview. So Kim, she comes in first and sits down, and she's all dressed proper and, and answering all the questions and everything. And so then it was my turn to come in, and somebody gave me a call on the phone. I'm sitting out in the car, and I'm dressing like a slob. I'm chewing gum. I got my stuff plugged in my ears, and I come in there, and I'm looking for, I had the wrong name for the person I'm coming in. Everybody's up there going, their eyes are this big, because I'm usually dressed up nice, They know who I am. And so I sit down, and I totally blow the interview, and I get a phone call. yeah, I'll pick up a couple cases of beer, And so we get through with that part of it, and then we did a critique. And the kids, everything I did wrong, they got it. They got it.
Yeah.
And to me, that was, I could have done just like Kim, but that wouldn't have meant anything.
Yeah, it was a good way to show them how real life preparation might matter.
And it does matter. It does matter. And, the kids, we'll talk a little bit about this youth fair program, but it's one of the things I'm doing. They have to do demonstrations, get in front of a group. And the big secret to making it work is videoing them. You video them and let them watch how they operate.
Oh.
That they learn so much from that.
Yeah, it's amazing too, just the very concept of being in front of a camera for the first time.
Yeah.
I had a radio show for 5 years on KPQ, and even on the radio, it was amazing. I'd have guests sometimes that would talk your ear off camera, tell me all kinds of great stories.
Yeah.
As soon as we said, on air,
Yeah.
they just froze, and these are grown men. So it's amazing how something that could be perceived by some very natural, by many it's not, if they've never had any opportunity to be in. So it's
No, but that's the whole thing. It's just like anything else. If you do it over and over enough, pretty soon it becomes simple. The kids, when they're in here, we have a meeting here tonight, and you have to use the microphone. At first and then pretty soon, that's no problem at all.
Yeah,
We run these kids are 5 years old to 8th grade about, and we run the meeting with Robert's rules.
Oh, really?
And so they learn a lot in here, and I make them be responsible.
I didn't know Robert's Rules is even a thing anymore. It's been kind of...
What is that?
It's parliamentary procedure.
Yeah.
And when you
It's
run
a great
meeting.
way to run a meeting.
Yeah.
You don't get off track. You have you have new business, old business, and all those kind. Read the minutes from the last meeting.
Oh,
Somebody
gotcha.
first it, second it, vote on it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I understand.
And
Yeah.
we don't at this age we don't fault letter for, but we do we do motions and all that kind of stuff.
It's a great
So,
life experience.
Yeah.
And I agree with you about vocation, because that's I joke around that plumbers and electricians are the new doctors and lawyers.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to be able to write their own ticket.
Oh yeah.
Primarily because of supply and demand. There's just hasn't been a huge push into vocation for a long time. It's all been into tech. And now it's ironic, but if you really think about the software coders that created AI are some of the first people to lose their job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because AI is now doing coding.
Yeah.
Almost entirely. Which is wild. I mean, the guys that invented it got beat. I mean, some of them.
Yeah. Well,
But-
it's the only thing constant is change, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And it's always messy. I joke about that a lot. And, we see it in local politics as well, where this thing wants to have happen. There's people like for and against it.
Oh yeah.
And we always talk, I've been here a long time and I've seen a lot of this stuff, and it's always been messy.
Oh.
Every change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, things that I remember when we did the Sunset Marina is a great example where
Oh, yeah.
the world was coming to an end
Yep.
for a while, and now everybody's,
Or Walmart.
Walmart was gigantic.
Was Starbucks bad?
And then they went and got a job at Walmart afterwards. I mean, it's just funny how everything gets excited.
Yeah.
And then in a few years, it levels out. And
Well, one of the best compliments I got at work when I was working, because I'd been there so many years, 42 years. My last boss, he was the vice president, and he'd been there. I'd been working for him for maybe 2 months, and we just got together for a little bit. He says, one thing I like about you, he says, you're really okay with change. I says, yep, I sure am. I says, because it's easy to get set in your ways. This is the way we did it. And you take a lot of the people around here doing agriculture and things like that, this is the way it was and this is the way we're going to do it, and we ain't going to change. And I think you just have to adapt and do what's best for you while you're at it. Things are going to change.
I try to be open-minded, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of this podcast, is just helping people get to know each other instead of each other. Because you may think you don't like each other, but as soon as you have a chance to break that barrier down a little bit,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you find you got a lot in common, and everybody gets along most of the time.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot of stuff. So in your 20 years, let's start from all the things you're involved in. I mean, just give me like the
I don't
rundown.
know. No, I had the west side, I was busy with kids and family and that up towards the end, did that over there. Then I come over here. The first thing was, the schools, and I I don't do a lot up there anymore. There's, I encourage anybody. One of the things that I always wanted to be able to do with the schools, even on the other side over there, but here especially, we have so many retired folks, and most of them had pretty good jobs, or they wouldn't be retired here. Bankers, all kinds of people. Can you imagine if, because one of the places where all schools really drop the ball is with preparing kids to go to work somewhere. And here, you got the agriculture, working in the winery, you don't get to see all these different jobs. So if they could take and get volunteers that are willing to come into the school once in a while, don't come all the time, once in a while, and you take the curriculum of a class. It could be a science class, and they're going to talk about force of propulsion and things like that, and how it works, the planes, boats, whatever. Bring in an airline pilot or some captain, somebody off a boat, and they explain to the kids how this works. At the same time, they talk about their career and what it means to be an airline pilot, what it takes to do that. And it would be free.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But it'd be a lot of work. Somebody would have to make it work.
Great.
And once, it's just like anything else, everybody likes a winner. So once people realize, hey, I go up there, I had a good time with the kids, and pretty soon it would evolve. But I tried it on the west side, I mentioned it up here, but it's everybody at school's got a job already, and they don't need another job.
Yeah.
Well, finding volunteers is a hard thing to do.
It is, yeah. And I understand, to some respect, I understand that a little bit, but not really, because to me, well, like I said earlier, that I'm so grateful for my life being what it is, that if I can help out in any other way, with anything, I want to do that.
That's
and I can sit home and watch TV all day long, but what does that accomplish for me or anybody else? I can do like the things I'm doing right now. Somebody's benefiting from it. The kids, they're benefiting from it.
We talked about this with Rod Brooks, who retired, and he had started the Grandpa Project.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a great idea.
It is.
Yeah, that was perfect.
And I've been selling real estate for a long time, and a lot of people do retire, and then what ends up happening is they're both busy working a career, raising family, and all of a sudden their dream comes true, and they come over here, and then they start looking at each other. Like, what? We've been busy like Mach 6 the whole time, and now we're all this time, what do we do now? And so this boredom kind of sets in, and it doesn't always end well.
You got to have a plan.
Got to have a mission.
It's like, when we were going down to Arizona down there, we stayed, it was one of the smaller communities, I think there was about 400 homes, not like these, but anyways, about 400 homes. So you got where you knew a lot of the people, and so they'd have, they had a clubhouse, and they had all these events. I mean, they had event after an event after event. And you get a guy, he was a banker all his life, and he was busy all his life. He gets down there, he's got nothing to do. And somebody gives him, hey, would you like to be the chairman of this committee? And man, they latch onto that.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then they want to make rules, and they want to change this and that. It's funny to watch it happen, but it happens all the time.
Yeah.
We see that in real estate.
Yeah, because they're like, I need
HOAs.
They need to make change, and they need to, they know how to run things. They've done it before.
Yeah.
It is fun, and it's fun to your point. A lot of people have time and resources.
Yeah.
And
most people have some time, and most of the time, the amount of time you have to actually spend volunteering isn't that much. A little bit here, a little bit there. One, getting back to where you were going, where things I've done. I think the second thing, I started with the Manson Chamber. Well, right around the same time, just volunteering different things. And I cover every event. If you look back on the Facebook pages of the chamber, there's all the way going back, fireworks shows, car shows, everything. I would take all the pictures, write all the stories, and then when they moved into the old Green Dot building, I kind of started trying to get volunteers to come in and be hosts for the event, for the day and things like that, and I've stepped back a little bit from that. I mean, I still go down and volunteer, and sometimes I'll be the host down there. But I don't cover as many events. I cover some and write stories for the Mirror. We just did American Legion Memorial Day celebration. Yeah. It's already on. It already sent it to the Mirror yesterday, so it should be coming out Wednesday.
That's great.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect.
Well, and that's a good transition to what we did with the Purple Heart community. Could you explain what that is, and then how you went about that?
Well, the Purple Heart community just means that or it could be a city, Purple Heart City, Purple Heart County. Wichita is Purple Heart County. Wenatchee is a Purple Heart City. Waterville's a Purple Heart City, believe it or not. And all it means is that we care about our veterans, the ones that were wounded or killed, and we remember them. That's basically what it's all about. And Purple Heart Day is August 7th, and that is the day that we have some kind of a celebration remembering those people. But the idea is to keep it going 365 days a year. So how do you do that? Well, the main way you do it is, which I'm in the process of working on right now, is signage. I'm working with Kim Musanik. She's kind of in charge of the big Welcome to Manson sign down there. You see, the big one coming in town?
What is that?
The big one down the road down there. Welcome to Manson.
When you're coming, yeah.
The big one.
Yeah.
So right on top of it, we'll say a Purple Heart community.
Oh, good.
Oh, that's perfect.
And then there'll be these signs I'm having made. They're 24 by 30 inches. It'll say Purple Heart Community, Manson, Washington. And there'll be the people at the casino. They're excited to have one at their place. There are several places where I'm going to put them throughout town. 2 weeks ago, I met with the superintendent of Manson up there, Tabitha, and explained to her a couple things, how I wanted to get the kids involved, but also about the signs. So she agreed they're going to put a Purple Heart sign right alongside their flagpole, which is right by the front door where the kids walk in. So every day when they walk into school, they're going to see a Purple Heart sign, and they're going to learn what that means, why we have it.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that it's important to me, I was in the Navy from 61 to 64. And I got out just before Vietnam kicked off. And there was people before me that got extended and people after me got extended on account of that. So I didn't see anything, no problems at all. But I had friends that went over there that didn't come back, and I had some friends came back screwed up, and for the rest of their life. And if you can imagine, the ones that died, of course, their parents and brothers and sisters mourned with that loss the rest of their life. And then the ones that came back either physically or mentally with problems, a lot of them commit suicide.
Yeah.
And so we can, to me, we have to make that kind of top of mind for remembering them and, not feeling sorry, but, for the families and that, because they suffer with it every day. Every day they have to live with it. There's one couple that live in this town here that had a son that died, and I'm trying to get them to agree to be one of the first Purple Heart recipients that's going to get, recognized at our event. And but it's so much pain. They have so much pain that they don't know if they're going to be able to do it or not. So what we'll do is, well, first let me go back how I got this started. It's almost like everything else I've done in my life. Every night I say my prayers, pray for somebody, say my prayers. And I always end my prayers the same way. Say, okay, I'm ready to go. Whatever you want me to do tomorrow, I'm ready to go. That's the end of my prayer. And so for this thing here, it was about first week in March, somewhere March 10th or something. I woke up one morning and says, I'm going to make Manson a Purple Heart community. And I don't know where that came from.
Just came to you.
But, I knew what it was. Wenatchee has been having Purple Heart celebrations for 3 years, and I've been to all of them. And so I woke up with this thought. I said, well, I had no idea how to do it, not even a clue. So I did a little researching and found out since we're not a city, in order to do it, you have to have the county commissioners would have to okay it, and I would need one other organization to kind of not, to sponsor it, in which I used the Manson Community Council. And so I wrote a bunch of documents, and sent them off into the commissioner's office. And then about, I don't know, it was about 3 or 4 weeks later, I was at a meeting, a veterans meeting in the commissioner's office. And the person I was been working with, name is Amber, I was getting ready to leave. She says, by the way, if you want to come back Monday, they're going to read the proclamation. That was April 20th. I go, what?
You got it.
Yes.
So I brought one of the fellow American Legion guys, Brian Strasbaugh. We went in, they read the proclamation, signed it, and Manson became a Purple Heart community at that moment.
Oh, well, that's perfect.
I'll read a little bit of this because it's pretty amazing. It's just part of it. Manson American Legion Post 108, serving the community for more than a century, has requested that Manson be formally recognized as a Purple Heart community and continues to uphold the values of service, sacrifice, and community leadership. And whereas the unincorporated community of Manson is home to veterans, families, and descendants of service members who have sacrificed in defense of our freedoms, including recipients of the Purple Heart, and whereas the people of Manson and Chelan County recognize the courage, valor, and devotion of those who have earned the Purple Heart and seek to honor their service with visible and ongoing gratitude. So, I mean, that's just part of it. That's a pretty amazing thing. Thank you for that.
No, I think our community should be proud of that, that we are, and I'm just happy. You know, the doors have opened. That's the way things always. You know, if it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen. So, what we'll do originally when I was first started figuring what the plans were going to be, I got my little planning sheet out. I was planning on August 7th having an event here. And I was going to have it at 5:30 at night.
And we're at the Grange, by the way.
Well, yeah.
In downtown Manson.
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to have it in the new park down there. But anyway, so, and then the Wenatchee has theirs on the same day, of course, and they'd been having theirs at noon. But they finally figured it out that's the wrong time to have it because, you know, if you want to have people come, they got to be off work and kids out of school and all that. So they're going to have theirs at 5:30 this year. And so I figured, well, that's okay. We'll do ours anyway. But then I found out since this is our first year, they will, at the Wenatchee event, they will highlight us, they will read our proclamation, and we can have our people, Purple Heart people, honored there. And once they get honored there, they go, the veterans building down there has a plaque with their name will go on that. Oh. And so for this year, I'm not going to have an event in town. We'll just go down there. The following year, what my thinking is right now, we'll have a small event, maybe at noon. I'm going to try to talk to Todd at Tapped Out over here, like at noon on the 7th. Just a small event, you know, put the flags up and, you know, recognize there's then anybody wants to go into Wenatchee, you can go in for the 5:30 event, because they really do a nice job. I mean, they have, you know, the gun salute, everything. They really do a nice job, which we couldn't do here.
Yeah, you made a great point, too. I mean, it's the families are the ones that sacrificed in perpetuity. I mean, you know, and even the people, like you said, that weren't, the Purple Hearts that weren't given, you know, the people that weren't physically hurt but mentally scarred.
Yeah.
You know, I think it affected everybody. My dad was in Korea. He got drafted in 1956, and he was at the end. So, you know, he didn't serve in combat because it was kind of at the tail end of it. But he had, you know, he knew people. And even if you didn't serve in combat, I had another Navy guy whose son was in the Navy and struggling with mental health. Mm-hmm. And he talked to me a lot about how people don't realize that you can be impacted in a powerful way, in a negative way, and a positive way in the military. But the post-traumatic stress doesn't mean always combat.
No.
And so there's this whole gamut of people, and I mean, I was raised by a dad that was a patriot, and I'm a patriot. My son was in the Marine Corps for 5 years, and I just think that kind of stuff should never be forgot. And even on my worst days, it's one of the things that maybe it's because of the way I was raised, but I always think, like, I have the privilege of having this pressure. I have the privilege of having this adversity. I have the privilege of having this opportunity. Yeah. And if it wasn't for the guys, especially, you know, all of them, but especially the guys in World War II, none of this.
All the wars were terrible. I think your son was one of my students when I was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Mason?
sure he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did good. He ended up being a sergeant in the aviation side. He went in reconnaissance, and then he got hurt in recon training, and he ended up in the aviation side. So he became a crew member in the Osprey. So actually, his squadron is in Iran. The Evil Eye Squadron on the V-22s are, and the USS. He did his tour on the USS Boxer. So yeah, I took a picture. It was on the news, and I videotaped the TV, and I sent it to him. He goes, "Yeah, those are my dudes."
But get back to Vietnam. If you just think about it, if you're like, I relate to myself growing up where I did. Everything's great, having a good time and everything. If I were to join the Army, let's say, and you go down and get your 9 weeks of boot camp, and all of a sudden you're sitting over in the jungle. And you're shooting at people, and people are shooting at you, and you're watching your friends get killed, and then you come back to a society that doesn't like you, and
tough time.
How's that not going to screw you up?
Yeah, and back then the counselors, we talk about it a lot. That there were no counselors really. I mean, what they call it, shell shock, but it was whiskey. I mean, that was about. And then you wonder, did you actually expect these guys? I mean, to be normal? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, but they got treated like they should go back to normal.
Just nothing happened, especially Vietnam, because I wasn't around, obviously, but I remember there was a young man that died in a helicopter crash in Vietnam from Manson in training. I remember hearing about that. It was my sister's age.
Yeah, we had a guy that used to go to our church, but he's passed away. It's the only reason he's not going now, but he passed away, and he was on the helicopters that evacuated people after they got blasted up. I forget how many. I mean, can you imagine having that job, pulling guys out with legs gone and shot up and dying, and put them on a helicopter, getting them back where they're supposed to go? You cannot come back and be the same person you were when you left.
No, I had a teacher once, and I asked him, he was in Vietnam, and he was a Cobra pilot, and he didn't talk about it, but one day I asked him, I was a kid, I asked him too many questions, and finally he says, "I'll tell you one story." And he said, "My buddy got shot down, and then I was ordered to put a missile right through him." And he said, "Do I need to tell you any more stories?" And I was just like, as a kid, I was like,
yeah.
Oh, sorry. I felt almost ashamed, because I was just a kid.
Yeah.
But at that moment, I'll never forget that. Yeah. Like what he was dealing with, going through in his life, he was managing and doing well, and teacher and all that. But after just that one story, I had such a profound amount of respect for something that I've never had to do, and such admiration. So I love this, and I'm happy to help in any way we can.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's great. I mean, and you're doing, you're just always busy. I see on Facebook, you're just always.
Try to be. My wife doesn't like it. She don't like me being on Facebook all the time, but that's okay. That's right. I just can't help myself. Like I told you, the worst thing I could ever think happen to me is wake up one morning and not have something to do. I'd go crazy. I got to have something to do, I don't mow the lawn only once a day,
Right. Yeah, well, in 20 years, you've always lived in Manson?
Yeah. We moved over here. We had some friends that lived up on the hill where we're at right now. We're up by the Three Crosses up there, and it's kind of a funny story because
Scout Hill, right?
Huh?
Is that Scout Hill?
Scout Hill, yeah. So we'd come over and visit them, and how can you not like being over here? And there was a piece of property that came for sale on the hill, and at the time they were asking $60,000 for it. And it's got a nice view up there and everything. And so I offered them 40 and they turned it down. I said, I didn't care. I didn't, it was just a deal. And the person that owned it, Mrs. Proctor, remember her. Anyway, so she died and went bankrupt all in the same week. All the property went to the bank.
Oh, wow.
So I after a couple of weeks, I offered them 32. They didn't bat an eye. I got it for 32. That piece of property is probably worth $300,000. The only good deal financially I've ever done in my life. That's the other thing about myself, that if I just wish money was more important to me, because I'm a worker, And if money was more important to me, I'd have a lot more than I have now, but it's just not anything that money doesn't mean, fancy cars, none of that means anything to me.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, a little bit about the American Legion though too, because I volunteer there. I'm their post-service officer. And, I think a lot of people don't realize how much, the American Legion really does in this town for our town. Our number one goal is helping veterans always. That's number one. But also community and kids. That's, a couple other things we like to do.
And so can we, instead of making assumptions that people know what it is, because there's maybe people that don't, how anybody can be a member?
Yeah, for the American Legion, as long as you were in the armed services and got an honorary discharge, you can be in the American Legion. The Veteran of Foreign Wars, VFW, you have to show some kind of documentation of some kind of combat or being in a combat area. Doesn't mean you have been shot at, but they have the rules, and so you have to have that plus being been served in the service. So there are two different groups. They have American Legion in Manson, the VFWs in Chelan, and we try to work some of the stuff together. We were just marching our parade here on Monday. 5 of us came over and marched on their parade. But we're fortunate. Our Legion is very fortunate that we have some money. The people that came before us, at one time the American Legion owned the big green building, the business center downtown. No, it's not green anymore.
Yeah, we
It's
used to have
yellow
dances
and
there in high
red.
school.
Yeah.
We owned that, and they had the American Legion, the women's part of the American Legion, the women's auxiliary, they call it. They were big players in this. They had dances, they had dinners. In fact, when I joined, we still had a storage full of glasses and plates and silverware we got rid of. But anyway, so they owned that building. And when it got, I forget what year it was right now, but in the 90s sometime, just like everything else, it was kind of slowing down. They didn't have enough volunteers, so they decided to get rid of the building. And a couple traded them the building for a house just 2 doors up. And so we had that house, and we were caretakers, and we rented that house for a number of years. And it got to the point where the house needed a lot of work, and us being old, we didn't have a lot of energy. So we made the decision to sell the house. And we sold that house, and now that money is in the bank. And doing well. So we have money where we can actually do things, and every year we give away about $4,000 just to, Tender Loving Care, the food bank, other places like that. We give around about $4,000 away. And then we work with, the kids up to school. We had a few years ago, we did a teacher grant, and we were going to give away, I forget what we were going to give away, but ended up the teachers all put in, a whole bunch of them put in, so we gave away a bunch of money that year. And so we're open to do those kind of things, things to help out the community. And right now, we're going to fund all these signs, and they're going to cost money. I'm not asking anybody for donations. I'm talking to businesses already. I'm going to have some kind of a plaque made up. If a business is willing to, let's say, we support the Purple Heart, and I'd like to get that in every business in our community.
Yeah, well, you got me in. I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm in Chelan.
it's a simple thing,
in.
but the more, because like I say,
I admire it big time.
Yeah.
it's something you want to see 365 days a year, and you want it in front of you. Also, all of a sudden it becomes just that's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do they have flags that are honorable to put up for that?
They actually have a Purple Heart flag you can get. I don't have one of them, but they just have it for the celebration more than anything else. But yeah, well, I plan on, like I say, I did meet with the superintendent of the schools, and we know she's leaving. Unfortunately, she's been great to work with up there, and so she's going to line me up with someone that will kind of be the person that we will work with, getting the kids involved, and they can do several things. They can be speakers at one of our events. we can go there and explain to them about Purple Hearts and different things. There's a lot of things we can do, but I'm going to get them, you know, they can do poetry, they can do pictures, they can do videos that we can put up. I haven't set up my Facebook page yet because I'm waiting to make sure I get the sign back so I know exactly what it looks like. Then I'll develop a Facebook page where people can go and they, you know, all this information can be put up, pictures, videos, and all that.
That's great.
This will be an ongoing project.
Yeah, so the American Legion, is that for like locally for Chelan, Manson, other towns around? And
Well,
then, or do they have their own American Legion? You said VFW's in Chelan, American Legion's here.
Yeah.
Is it one American Legion for each town, or?
There's it's set up. You have a national American Legion, a state American Legion, and then the different cities.
So does Chelan have their own too?
No, they don't. They could, but they don't.
How
They
many
have the
members
VFW.
do you currently have?
Very few. We have. I think we have about 30, and probably 12 of them are active. And that's, you know, it's another thing. It's hard to find members. We talked before on air here. Talked a little bit about, you know, why do people not volunteer, and especially you're looking at people that did serve, you know, and they came back, and all these benefits that they're entitled to, you know, through the VA. Those were obtained by the American Legion lobby in Congress. That's how that came. So, you know, they should be happy to, you know, support the American Legion, be part of it.
I wonder if, you know, hopefully things like this will help. I mean, hopefully somebody will see it. And,
You would hope so, you know.
Yeah, just
There-
awareness.
A lot of times it is just that, you know, it's, everybody's so damn busy,
Oh, I know it.
you know, and they don't realize, like, it's just day after day after day. They're busy working a couple jobs, or they're busy with kids,
Oh,
or
yeah, I know.
both. And,
Yeah.
you know, but I'll tell my son about it. I mean, he's
Yeah, I've talked to him before, I think.
Yeah,
he's a member of the VFW. Pretty
yeah,
sure he is.
Yeah, he's got.
But one thing I do want to get out there, anybody does have someone in their life, could be a grandfather, you know, could be a dad, brother, whatever, that did get a Purple Heart, or if you lost somebody, you know, that have to get a hold of me, and we'll get them set up. I'm going to probably try to do 4 a year, 4 or 5. That's all. One of the first years when we do this, there's two gentlemen that our post is named after. Back in those days, they would do that. So we're the American Legion Post 108, Beeman, Wilkeson, the two guys. Both of them were in World War I. Both of them got killed. And luckily, I have a story about each one of them.
Wow.
And one of them, I have actually a relative that knows something about them. I'm trying to get that person to come over. So we'll do one this year and one next year, just to highlight them.
Perfect.
Let me ask you this, because you mentioned that some families, it might be just too much pain to face. Do you think they could, if someone would help them on their behalf, be involved?
Sure.
Would that be okay?
Oh, sure.
If they're just too painful to be in front of people?
Yeah.
Or,
I mean, I can't imagine that pain. If you just, you know, if you got kids and you just even think about the thought of losing your kid just for any reason, you know, but like car wreck or something like that, you know, it right there is pain just thinking about it, you know.
Yeah.
well, that'd be something that people could do to help that family out.
Yeah.
On their
But
behalf.
it would honor them. That's
Yeah,
the
I
thing.
know.
It would honor their,
Yeah.
you know, what they did, and I would hope they would be willing to do that and be good for. You know, I can't imagine there's ever a real closing and a parent when you lose a kid like that.
Yeah, hard to imagine.
It's always there.
Yeah, and just to, you know, living in gratitude. You know, that gratitude is an amazing assassin of anxiety if you let it be.
Yeah.
And humility and thanking those. I mean, I literally every day, it's a big deal to me.
Yeah.
Because I know how lucky I am. I'm like you. I grew up in like in this town.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty hard to beat. So, and very fortunate to have the life I've had. So, and it's all because of those guys in large part. So, and their families. So you've got that going. You've got the chamber going. What other things are we doing?
Oh, and I mean, you're just full of ideas.
Yeah.
I don't know. You've got like 50 ideas for everything you're about
You
to
know,
do.
You know, for me, it's always been kind of the same thing. Here's a good story. So, I always said, I believe in God, and you know, like I said, I do my prayers at night. So I always figure when I start doing something, as long as the doors keep opening, I'm moving forward. When the doors start closing around, I start thinking, well, maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. So when I was first started at Youth Maritime Training Association over in Seattle, I'm working full time plus running. I was probably putting 20 hours a week into that thing. And we'd have a monthly meeting, and there'd usually be 25 people, 25, 30 people come to the monthly meeting. And I'd been doing it about a year, and I was getting tired, and just like everything else, the volunteers don't always do what they're supposed to do. And so, I was doing 90% of it. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna close this down. I just, it ain't working, And so I had my meeting, and I'm sitting there, talking away, and I got to the point where I was gonna throw that out on the table. And there was a guy that came to the meeting I'd never seen before in my life. He's sitting there, he wasn't saying anything. And so I'm talking about this, and I said, well, here's what I'm gonna do. It's just da-da-da-da-da, it's been difficult, so I'm gonna shut it down. This guy says, no, you can't do that. He says, everything is gonna be fine. He went on and on, how good this is gonna be, and that. He left the meeting and never saw him again. You tell me.
Need a little kick in the butt.
He was sent there.
Yeah.
He wasn't in the maritime. I know he wasn't in the maritime industry. I don't know if I ever did find out what he did for a living.
But inspired you to keep going.
Well, yeah. He told me
Now look where
that's
it's
time to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't quit. It's not time yet.
Not yet. Not now. So yeah, that's the same thing as this. The doors are opening. I'll keep moving forward, and we'll get her done.
Mm-hmm. Good for you. Yeah.
Great philosophy in life.
Yeah.
More of what we need.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring it back.
Yeah. So where do you think you're just turning 83 years young, full of youthful exuberance, just getting warmed up. So what's next on your?
I don't know about just getting warmed up or not.
Yeah.
They say you spend 80% of your life living and 20% dying. So I think I'm on the wrong side of this equation here, But I'm very grateful. I still have my health. I still have my brain. As long as I have them, if something comes my way, I'm certainly going to take a look at anything I can. But I really enjoy working with the youth. Because if you can straighten them out, just get them. My whole thing was, if you can get them interested in something, all you got to do is get out of their way. You get them interested in learn how to fly or anything. It doesn't make any difference. Once you spark that interest, that's it. And when I was working with the kids at the school there was a few of them, not all of them, but there was a few of them that was struggling that I really thought I could help. And there's a book called Strength Finders 2. It's a little short book, and it's an online thing. You fill it out and do that, and it comes back with your 5 strengths, what you're good at. Because most of the kids have you ask them, well, what are you good at? What can you do? They didn't have a clue. And so it would come back, and well, you're good at this, you're good at that, you're good at that, And it helped them. A couple of them it did some good for. I still have some of them are Facebook friends that that I keep tabs with that have gone on to do well in life.
And it's
that's cool.
You don't realize how profound one conversation can be.
Exactly.
We just had that happen with Jared England.
Yeah.
He remembered a conversation I had about doing a no-look layup in high school. He was a freshman when I was a senior. And he brought it up and remembered it however many years ago it was, 40 years ago.
You don't want to admit that all the
50
time.
years ago, 40 years ago. But it's funny, and I have those memories of people that talked to me in school.
Sure.
And, one 5-minute conversation could
change. It can change everything, give you a direction. And then if you got somebody to mentor you, that's one of the things we worked with the kids over there was trying to get a mentor for them, if you have so they have someone to talk to guide them along the way. One of the things I did when I first came over here, I thought I was going to introduce some of the maritime industry, to here, just to give the kids, things. They used to do a career fair at Manson, and I'd sit there and nobody would come by, No, even the teachers didn't know what it was, maritime. So Kevin Anstem, his son was a senior that year, this year. And I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. And I took, I think, 8 kids over. We loaded up at 4:30 in the morning, drove over to Seattle. I took them over to where I used to work, Foss, and they got to go on a tugboat. Yeah. We went to Chinook's for lunch. Then we went down to the locks, watched the ships come through. Then we went to the Seattle Maritime Academy, and they had a simulator in there, And the kids got in that simulator. And you just watch them light up. Mm-hmm. That thing was so real, you could get seasick in it.
Wow. wow.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
And
What a great experience for somebody.
yeah,
especially on this side.
none of them, went that direction. But you could just see it. We drove back. We didn't get back to midnight. What a day that was.
Yeah, I have a good friend in Chelan that's worked on the docks for 40 years and still working. And he lives over here, but he does a shift.
Oh yeah.
Like they do a week on and
Yeah.
Week off or
off
something.
or something. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
there's
just saw him at
several
Lakeview the other
tugboaters
day.
over here.
Yeah.
There are not
Is
as
there?
many as there are Boeing people, but
Right.
That's
right.
true, yep.
There's a lot of Boeing people.
Yeah.
A lot of tech people too. But all kinds. That's what this place is. It's a real melting pot of all. It's one of the things I love about this career I've had here is I've met so many unique people from so many different industries, from so many different places. That networking has become, it's part of,
networking is number one.
part of the program, whether you like it or
Yeah.
not. You just, in the business, you meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
You don't sell houses to everybody, but you meet a lot, and
Yeah.
it's been really interesting.
It's like, when I was working with the kids, when I started to set up that job shadow program thing, I had to encourage them, like if they go to the hospital and they're shadowing somebody up there, I says, once you start talking to them, get their contact information. If you want to, maybe you're going to do something in the medical field like that, and you go away to junior college or whatever and get your 2-year thing, your nursing certificate, you keep in touch with them. He says, okay, if I stay in touch with you, oh yeah, they're all going to say yes, they do. And then, let them know how you're doing. And then once you graduate, they can be a wealth of help to you finding a job. It's
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
You don't do networking. Here's how you do networking. It's what can I do for you, not what you can do for me. And if you do it that way, you're going to win every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the idea, and I've had a couple of investors talk to me about. They love the idea too that we've had for a while, and it's kind of one of those doors opening. As AI keeps advancing, we had this idea of similar to what you and Jerry talked about, the vocational school, where you take community members, whether it's Chris Cruz teaching you how to cut hair, or whatever job you're doing, you have this building, and you actually have a vocational accredited school here for vocational work, plumbers, electricians, and you use the wealth of the career people here to help and be the instructors.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we just, we've talked about it, not in serious conversations about raising the money, but it is on the list of one of our company that I'm involved in. One of our goals is to help.
Well, it's definitely going to be a lot of changes coming, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
So are you, that's about 80 hours a week. You got lots of time left. What other things are you doing?
Oh, I don't know, nothing really that exciting. I was involved in the church side,
Is that
North Shore Bible Church there. I started the men's group. I get things going, then I step out, So I started the men's group, 10 years ago or so.
Is that Jerry Smith's cup? You
Yeah,
guys have cup of coffee?
Yeah, Jerry's there, yeah.
Great
So I
guy.
run the Welcome Center every Sunday. I'm there to greet people. To me, that's, you go to a church. When we were going to Arizona, they had their community. We were down in the Green Valley area, and I'd never seen so many churches in my life, and most of them are all small, and it's amazing. You walk in that door, in 2 minutes, if you feel comfortable. So to me, the Welcome Center at a church is one of the most important things you can have, and I run it well. But anyway.
That's no surprise.
Sunday at 9 o'clock.
Sunday, 9:30.
9:30.
Yeah. People come in, and you get to know them, and the handshake, and look them in the eye, and they feel comfortable right away, and that's the important thing. And if they want to talk a little more, no pressure, you don't put any pressure on them. Just make sure they feel comfortable.
Well, Craig's been there a long time.
Greg does an amazing job. His sermons are amazing.
I'd love to have him on the podcast. We had Kyle Plew on the podcast, which was pretty cool. And
Craig's my neighbor. He lives right above me. He keeps his eye on me down there.
more ways than one.
I can't have any wild, crazy parties.
No, that's
That's
funny.
funny.
Probably that's funny. Yeah, he's a good dude.
No, his sermons are, he could be anywhere. He really is good with his sermons. There, he makes you understand what he's trying to tell you. And that's big.
Yeah, North Shores, for people that don't know, is on the way to Wapata Point, just on the left, the big church there on the left.
Yeah, for me, the going to church, big things for me is that they believe in Jesus and they do things for the community, and they fulfill both those. They're very community minded.
And it's a great way I would imagine, to get incorporated too, if you're new to the area.
Oh yeah.
And to your point, welcoming people.
Yeah,
from
we
all.
do the men's group. We do a coffee every Tuesday. You got to come. Tuesday and Thursday at 8 o'clock. Guys stay, I usually leave by 9, but they stay there sometimes at 10. Free coffee, and it's just all talk about politics, fishing, you name it. And it's just a group of guys, maybe 10 to 20 guys will show up and sit around talking,
It's funny you say that coffee shop talk. When I was growing up, my dad used to say, if you're not being talked about at the coffee shop, you're not working hard enough.
That's right.
That's true.
I go there every day so they don't talk about me.
Yeah.
I'm used to it talking about me. I'm used to it. Hopefully it's better, good, more good than bad, hopefully. But,
No, I just, I like helping out, and we got the chamber's got the Stars and Stripes auction coming up, so I plan on going to that. That's on the 20th. So if you haven't got your tickets to go to the Stars and Stripes auction, that's where we raise the money for the fireworks. I understand, and I don't know if this is true. I heard they're going to have drones this year. Did you hear that?
I haven't heard that.
Whoa.
Oh, so this could be false information. Let me put a disclaimer.
Let's do it. Let's put the pressure on people.
I just heard that the other day. Somebody said, but I love the fireworks.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's all funded by this community. The Stars and Stripe auction raises a good amount of money. I don't know if it's going to be
So that's at the chamber?
through the chamber. It's going to be up at the Cider Press
Okay.
on the 20th. They'll have an auction, of course, and a dinner. They had it there last year. It's a very nice event, fun event. But you can raise money. If you don't want to go to that, you can just write a check or drop some money off at the chamber.
Yeah, and those are pretty spectacular.
They are.
And if you haven't been to the fireworks show in Manson,
It's one of the best. Well, it's probably the best one on the east side of the mountains. I used when I was running the tugboats back in the days. We used to take the barges up to Lake Union, and take your tugboat and you go up there and you got 2 barges full of fireworks, and you anchor them. You're sitting there and you're looking straight right over your head.
one year that caught on fire.
Yeah.
I remember they had a mistake. And the actual barge caught on fire.
Yeah.
And so can you imagine being?
I wasn't there that day.
Yeah, that was a rough one. But they learn. You learn from mistakes.
Yeah.
Whatever happened.
Yeah.
And hopefully, everybody did good.
Nobody got
hurt. That's all that matters.
Well, just make the mistake doesn't kill you. That's okay. You
Yeah,
learn.
Yep.
adversity breeds clarity.
And now people just have more things to talk about.
Yeah, and it's kind of neat how they got the park put together at the other end of Manson from Ernie's gas station. When I was when I was a kid, that's I don't know how many flat tires I fixed there.
I used to go down and talk to Ernie just to hear him talk.
He was amazing.
He was a funny guy. You could get him going, and it was easy.
He was there a long
No, but
time.
there's a classic example that things are supposed to happen because the money that they needed to do what they've done came pouring in because people wanted that to happen.
Yep.
Because nothing works without money. That's
No,
as
that was an
simple as
expensive
that.
piece of real estate.
Yeah.
And his family, earned it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that everybody doesn't realize is a lot of that was his whole life. I mean, he invested his whole life in that piece of real estate, so they should be paid.
Yeah.
And, and it was expensive.
Yeah.
But you got it done.
With the money, I don't know who did it, but there was a lot of anonymous donors that gave like $50,000-$60,000. I mean, big money, and it's going to be a beautiful spot.
Yeah, it's already. It's already. I was actually going to do the podcast there, but the weather was a little bit
Not as fun.
Not as fun.
That's
today.
why I wanted to do this Purple Heart celebration there, and I already talked to them, and they said it'd be fine. But maybe the following.
We have to ask
Maybe
permission.
next
I was
year.
just going to bootleg it for our podcast. I didn't know you have to ask permission.
Well, it's a park.
A
I
big
think.
festival, maybe.
You should.
think
You
we're-
shouldn't for a podcast, but if you're going to do an event, you got to prove you got insurance. So.
Oh.
I guess I looked at the
This isn't
podcast
really
like
an
it's like a
event.
picnic table.
Yeah, it's an event.
Yeah, I
This is
don't-
like social
maybe
media.
maybe
Yeah.
there's an
No,
exemption.
you'd probably be okay.
Who runs that park?
Well, it's actually a nonprofit group that's behind it, and they have their own little. Do you know Terry Carlton? She's involved.
Yeah, I'd like to get her on the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She's involved heavily. She can give you all the answers to the questions you have.
Yeah, they've been involved in there.
Hal
that
and Hal,
family's
Hal
been so
Killian,
involved.
Yeah, Hal too. Hal. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah. Well, this little town's changing. Is there any regrets for moving here 20 years ago?
No, it was funny when we, after we bought that property, I had no idea of ever coming over here. And I was about 2 years out from retirement, and my wife Susan says to me, because we'd come over here and she'd sit out on our lot, and move rocks around and stuff, And she says to me, I want to live over there. I said, really? I said, it's not busy enough over there for me. I go crazy. She said, And I finally said, well, you know, planes fly and cars drive, so, you know, okay, if that's what you want to do, I'm good with that. And she drew up the plans for our house. She did an excellent job. We got she met with the architect, and he had 2 suggestions. She took one of them. They built a house. During the build, there was only 1 change order. And all I did was sitting there drinking my beer.
That's a way to build right there.
She did an excellent job, and we were blessed to have it's a 1-level home, looked right out over the lake, very peaceful, just beautiful. She did a great job.
So do you think, this is an interesting question, you've been here 20 years. Things always change, but they often, there's more that stays the same too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
What would you say, is there more differences now, or do you think it's kind of the same as it was when you got here?
Well, you know, I hate to see all the orchards going out, but you know, is what it is, because that's making the loop around, you know, that was all orchards, especially springtime with all the blooms and everything. You hate to see that go, but you can understand business, you know, they're losing money every year. You know, you got to start with a lot of money when you're losing money every year, or it don't work out too well. So that part of it, I hate to see that happen. You know, there's more people over here come over to visit, so it gets a little crazier during the tourist season. But I myself enjoy that. But on the other hand, I can understand how somebody's been here their whole life that was an orchardist doesn't like it. I can understand that.
Yeah,
you know, I can understand that very well. You know, where it used to be. I'd like seeing about the vacation rentals and that, somehow keeping them at a decent level. I have no problem with vacation rentals, but you don't want to have everybody have a vacation rental, and keep everything kind of peaceful as much as you can. And
That's a catch-22 on
yeah,
that
always
one.
tough.
Always
Remember
tough.
back in the days, Memorial Days, when they had the shut. It was
I
crazy.
was there. I was a
You were
kid.
one of them.
I was one of them. Yeah, 17. Yeah, 300. Seemed like everybody. The park was packed, and it was crazy. Kids were doing all kinds of
Police
stuff.
on horseback, in cars, on
they
bikes.
brought in like 300 cops in one weekend.
I know you sent me that picture, and I was like, that looks horrible.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's very
that's too
different.
many people. I would not like that.
Yeah. So anyway, it's been better the last few years. You know, it's a lot more peaceful than it was. So no, I feel very blessed to be here. When I have to go to the other side to travel or see my daughter and my granddaughter, I hate going over there.
Yeah, it's different.
Just hate it.
Yeah.
It's changed over there too. A
Oh,
lot.
yeah. It's the last time I went over for that luncheon or breakfast thing. I couldn't. They have so much. You think we got construction going on here? Man, even the express lanes were closed down.
Oh,
everywhere
not
you
fun.
went, there was just a mess.
There's no rush hour anymore. It's just rush.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a crazy time. So
Well, I think this town's very lucky to have you, and the last 20 years, all you've done. Thank you for everything you've done.
I'm lucky to have this town.
And your service in the military. And
Yeah, very much.
your wife.
And what you're doing for the whole town.
Yeah, I love this. Congratulations on spearheading this Purple Heart community.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing that'll last forever.
And
So-
can't wait to see what you do for the next 20 years.
Yeah, you're just getting warmed up. I told you.
I see, when dealing with American Legion guys, there are a lot of them there, when you start talking money, even though we got a big pot full of money, you say, well, here's what I'm going to do. I said, this is going to be our legacy. I said, we can give money to the food bank or whatever, and 2 weeks later, nobody knows we gave them the money. I says, these signs and everything we're going to do here with this money, that's our legacy. So,
Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
kind of stuff that should have happened years ago,
yeah.
decades ago.
Yeah.
So this is.
And Chelan needs one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Chelan County is one. They'll be putting up signs for that. So
That's
Good.
cool.
Well, is there anything else you want to talk about before we let you go?
no, I appreciate what you're doing. There's a lot of more interesting people than me around here you can get with, that's for sure. But no, again, I'm blessed to be here, and we'll see what the rest of my life brings.
Well, we're lucky too. I mean, it's fun to, growing up here, and I grew up in a little apple orchard. It's fun for me to meet people and have them on this podcast that
Sure.
I've known my whole life, and then learn more about them.
Oh yeah,
That,
everybody's got a story.
yeah, we all change and we all go through so many phases in life. So it's been an honor and a blessing for us to be able
Yeah.
to do this every week. But thanks again.
Okay, you
All right,
betcha.
we're signing off one more time from Small Towns Unscripted.